Hey everybody, it's Bust with Expedition Trial number 278. We've already got the champion books pulled up here. I pulled this up and started talking about it, and I had the intent to draft this Jarvan. Like, this is the most fantastic opener for a Jarvan that we could ever hope for, starting with the Penitent Squire, Honored Lord. If you want to end up in Challengers or if you want to end up in Elites, both, this is just like exactly what you want your Jarvan pack to look like. But we've drafted Jarvan the previous two videos that I made. And so, yeah, we got here. I started talking about it, and I was like, "Man, I don't want to push Jarvan on you all three times in a row, especially since we've just covered the challengers, we've just covered the elites. I think we kind of want to move on to something else." And so, it does come back to either the Swain or the Sejuani. I don't really want to be drafting Swain. I don't think he's a particularly interesting champion at this stage. Like, if you're looking to end up in like a really aggressive Noxus deck, then the Swain is pretty good. It's just not a champion I like starting out with. I don't think there's a lot of payoff to pursue this non-combat damage thing to flip a Swain. Like, if you end up with like the Leviathan, then pursue it. The Leviathan is incredibly powerful, but as far as Swain goes, I think you really just want to be in Swain for the powerful Noxus 2-drop package. And so this feels like more of like a supporting card pool, where over here with Sejuani, we can make a full build around and work out some interesting things. So let's take a moment and get her pulled up on the site. If you're not familiar, it's ftpbus.com. It's where I keep all my expedition related content. I do want to call out, I think I might have mentioned with the set reviews that, I started on the text version. I like to have the videos at one point, and then I do kind of like these set reviews to be in text, but then I accidentally deleted all the notes from my text version. So I was like, well, I'll just make a video. And then I accidentally deleted my video version. And, I got real discouraged as far as finishing this goes. And so I do intend to finish this at some point. It's taken much longer than I intended for it to take, but we'll see what I can do as far as getting this out here. Nonetheless, in the guide section, we keep all of my YouTube videos and things like that. You can see we got our our two previous Jarvan trials as to why I didn't want to pursue Jarvan in this one. And then, of course, the reason you probably found this site in the first place is the tier list. We've got the text version that people like to Control F. We've got the image version on the Found Here button, and then we keep the video version over on the old YouTube. But today we'll be over here on the Expedition Helper. We're just gonna go to the button, click on the drop down, scroll our way down to Sejuani and find Suit Up, and take a peek at what lives here. And so, yeah, I mean, there's like a few decks that we really like to piece together with Sejuani. They typically involve getting a bunch of overwhelms together. But the big thing I wanted to pull this up and I wasn't sure on as to whether or not she had any of the new cards added here. You can see them quickly in Lysandra if we want to take a peek at Ice Shard, which I think is super interesting with Sejuani. We can switch back over and take a peek at her, but this is like a way to, you know, you can play it with like the tough units, and so she does have the tough 2-drop. You can play it with the kind of plunder themes. You can play it to level up Sejuani on our opponent's turns. All kinds of things that we can do with Ice Shard. And maybe, if we're in that magical land where we have a flipped Sejuani, we use it to just frostbite our opponent's team. Like, lots and lots of things we can do with Ice Shards. And I was curious if this lived with Sejuani. The other big addition out of the new set is Three Sisters. You pay a small price for the versatility, but the versatility is pretty good. Getting either Flash Freeze for a Frostbite related combat trick, Fury of the North for a big combat trick, or an Entomb as a temporary removal spell. Pretty powerful stuff that we get out of this versatility here. And so I mainly wanted to pull up the Sejuani to see if any of these cards lived here. They do not. But you can see, like Ruthless Raider being able to survive Ice Shards, having things like Wolf Rider, Sejuani herself, and then Ursine Spirit Walker, which is in our hand. Like, all of these having Plunder. There's great things that we could be doing with that card, but it doesn't quite live here. And so as far as this Sejuani is concerned, the things that we typically look to do here, we like to pair up with Bilgewater, so we have ways to deal damage to our opponents on their turn. That's kind of like picking up the plunder cards and the gangplanky kind of themes. It's cool to pair with Noxus, so we can try to piece together just a full-on Overwhelms deck. Or otherwise, stay within Freljord and try to take advantage of things like Avarosan Outriders. And so, the real strengths to the Sejuani here are her mid and late game. The mid game Overwhelms and the late game Overwhelms, all extremely powerful. She doesn't have any removal spells, which kind of sucks, but nobody in Freljord really does. But she does have access to the premier combat tricks and things like Troll Chant and Elixir of Iron, then she has a really powerful early game with things like Starlit Seer. And so, lots of powerful things going on here. Sejuani is a pretty powerful champion, and one of the things I do like about her is she leaves us pretty open. And so, if something happens in like the next pack, maybe we want to we want to pick up, reputation cards. We end up with, a big pile of Talia cards. Then Sejuani's still very good on her own. We have an Ursine Spirit Walker to give all of those, Rock Bears overwhelm, and it didn't take a huge investment in a champion. And so, I think she's pretty powerful here. Maybe we can piece together something pretty interesting. And so I'm trying to envision how we can use this Azir with Sejuani. I don't think these two are going to be too friendly. Kind of the same thing applies with Jarvan. And so, ideally the pairing here would be with Ashe. And the big thing with this Frozen Solid Ashe is that she also has the Avarosan Outriders with her. And so if we take a peek, the Avarosan Outriders being the premier one of the premier Legions cards, I should say, not the premier one. I think there's things like Wraithcaller that are better, but this is just an extremely powerful card, getting 12 stats and double overwhelms for 4 mana. Just an incredibly, incredibly good deal. And so I did also want to pull up this Ashe to see if it had 3 sisters or if it had the frost the mini avalanche, whatever we're going to call that, and it does not, but it does have access to 3 sisters, so we might find a new card. And so, yeah, if you're looking to see the new cards, you might have to scroll back a video or two. I think I've covered all of the champions now. And so all of that is there. I am kind of happy now to just be back into, normal expeditions and not really forcing anything just for the sake of forcing it. But, as far as these champions go, if we're going to look at this, like, how do we want to get advantages out of Azir? We can, pursue the Sand Soldiers, which is we don't get bonuses from Freljord. We can pursue the what I call Super Friends kind of strategy, which needs to be a kind of a mono Shurima deck, which we did talk about how it would be okay with the likes of Sejuani and Troll Chant being good enough to not need any more Freljord, but I haven't been like super impressed with that deck, and I don't want to have to force it. Then kind of similarly over here with Jarvan, we do have a handful of challengers in Freljord, and we have access to things like the Frostbites that play well with challenges, but we're not really going to double up on getting power out of something like Penitent Squire. So I think this Ashe is the take. If you're wanting to see the new cards in action, then this will be an unfortunate trial for you. But this is a pretty reasonable pairing. And so, kind of like the big thing that we run into here is, with Freljord, they do tend to have a fairly weak early game, but we do double up on all of the good things here. So both the Sejuani pool and this pool have Starlit Seer. We pick up Icevale Archer as a good 2-drop here. This pool also has Troll Chant, although when we're looking at specifically building around Ashe, I do look at Troll Chant as weaker than the cards like Brittle Steel, but this is still a top-notch kind of combat trick. Then we get access to the best spell in Freljord and Harsh Winds. And so, there's a lot of good things going on here. These two pools are very friendly. We're probably going to look to piece together a overwhelms-based strategy and really try to take advantage of these Avarosan Outriders. And so, Ashe it is. Let's see how the rest of this plays out. So I'm actually really tempted to come in and take this Golden Aegis. This is a good one. Like, one of this isn't as bad. Like, if you've been kind of recent on my videos here where I talked about elites a lot because I talked about playing Jarvan, one of the problems you'll run into is actually being able to close out games. Because the problem with elites is you're attacking with 4 or 5 5s, and then your opponent can just come in and block everything. We typically don't have that problem here because our Sejuanis and Alpha Wildclaws have Overwhelm. A lot of the top end in Freljord has Overwhelm, but I am kind of interested in just getting in these double attacks with an Aegis, and I'm really tempted to come over here and take this. And in general, the safe pick here is going to be the Starlit Seer, and I think that's who I'm going to force myself to take. But this Aegis is pretty interesting here. But no, I think the Starlit Seer will have to do it for us, even though Entreat is not very good. Okay, here's the pack. We're not taking these. Just adding units to our deck is not what we're looking to get out of another faction. We need real high-powered spells, and so if this was like I don't know, some kind of epic. You know, if Tiana or Genvivi or somebody showed up here, then maybe, but just not for Senna Silverwing Vanguard. And so there is the old troop of Elnix. This is who I ideally want to be taking here. I don't think we'll ever get this troop of Elnix deck together, but Ithlit Stairs and Troll Gifts are both just so bad. I have no desire to give any of our units regeneration. You know, I think the payoff for this is the +2/+2, and then the regeneration is the fallback, and we're never going to have the trolls to give this, you know, reasonable +2/+2s. So, you know, we're taking the troops here. We'll see how things pan out, but I don't think that's going to be too great. Okay, an interesting set. You know, Winter's Breath, one of these really powerful cards to play off with Ashe. You know, just giving our opponent's team Frostbite pretty good in a lot of situations, especially when we're going and able to kill some of their units. You don't get like full power out of it unless you're playing with a you know, a full Ashe build around where you can play the Crystal Arrow. And the kind of the problem here is if you you know, play Crystal Arrow, you've just won the game anyways. But, you know, kind of the flip side, the power in Winter's Breath is you can come in and typically just immediately level up your Ashe. And so it's pretty close, but here I do believe I'm just going to take the Scargrounds and Battle Fury. I do still have kind of like in the back of my head that we can pick up some of these mini avalanches, which play quite well with the Scargrounds, and I always love picking up one Battle Fury in these style of decks. And so we'll let that one spell go. It's not a huge deal to pass on. And beautiful. Here's what we're looking for: the Outriders with the Brittle Steel. We are getting pretty heavy on Brittle Steels at this point and don't want to take too many more of them, but that's a very, very strong early game here. And okay, with these, you know, I really like to avoid both Shatter and Unscarred Reaver, and then I do really appreciate a good Ancient Yeti, and so I think this is fine here. We're getting a high-quality 2-drop either way. You know, the most synergistic one is probably Iceveil Archer, but the Sentry is completely fine. And then being able to play these Yetis for like 3 mana really fixes a lot of our curve problems. And so I'm always happy to pick up a handful of Yetis. Oh god, the Elnix are happening. Oh boy, oh boy. I'm taking the Harsh Winds here, but like, if it, are we going to keep seeing the Elnix? Oh gosh, this is going to be brutal. I'm just going to get so mad once we start playing those. You know, there's an argument just to be taking the Ruthless Raider Troll Chant here. These are both incredibly powerful cards. We have the Scargrounds. If we do manage to pick up some of those mini avalanches, then the Ruthless Raider plays there so fantastically. But Harsh Winds is just so hard to be passing up. And then the Bolt Elnic is a reasonable unit, you know, even if we don't plan on playing with our Elnics. But, you know, the big problem we run into with Freljord decks tends to be our curve. And if we're going to get a curve fixer down here like the Ruthless Raider Troll Chant, I don't think that we can let them go, even at the strength of a Harsh Winds. Okay, here's right on board where we need to be, is with another Ruthless Raider Mighty Poro. You know, the kind of the idea with these Sejuani decks is, you know, we didn't touch on it real deeply, but you know, with the Gangplank, you have cards like Make It Rain and Parlay to deal damage to your opponent's face. You know, kick off your plunders and such. With Sejuani, we're just doing it with Overwhelms. So if we have the early game Ruthless Raiders and a Mighty Poros to overwhelm through our opponent, that's how she's getting leveled up. I don't think we're really going to be leveling her up much in this deck, but the strategy is still strong, and I'm pretty happy to pick up these early game Overwhelms. Okay. Well, I think I want another Ancient Yeti. I do really appreciate these. Tarkaz is kind of interesting when we have the Scargrounds, though. But, you know, if we're ever on a turn without the Scargrounds, he does get a little bit weaker. But then on the flip side, if we're making big Overwhelm attacks, then it's kind of like dealing additional damage, right? Say we attack with Tarkaz, Ruthless Raider, and Mighty Poro. We give all of our opponent's blockers -1 attack because of his 1 damage ability. Then it's kind of like dealing additional damage to face because that damage you know, gets trampled over by our Overwhelms. And so it's tough. We can like reasonably play Shatter in our deck. I typically hate Shatters, but we have 3 Brittle Steels. I don't really like Shatter though unless we have the Archer. I don't want to just play a Brittle Steel and then play a Shatter. I don't want, like, I want to be like attacking with Ashe and playing Shatter, or playing the Archer and then hitting with Shatter, or having a Rhymetusk Shaman Frostbite something and play Shatter. We can't just play Brittle Steel and Shatter and just 2-for-1 ourselves. So I can get behind the Tarkaz here. I think we can make this work out. Okay, here's an Ancient Yeti I can get behind. I think this is who we want. How's our top end looking, especially if we're going to pick up another Ancient Yeti as opposed to Alpha Wildclaws? I think that's pretty good. Like, my idea here is we're going to be taking Sejuanis, so we don't need a lot of top end, and then the Ancient Ready really fills in our curve. I think this is good. Let's take these. All right, and then here at the end, these are tough. We don't need 5 brittle steels. I'm certainly going to be trying to trade away at least one of these. Don't want any shatters. The problem here, the card we want is Caught in the Cold. The thing our deck is lacking now is a way to interact with our opponent's units. We don't have any direct removal spells. We passed on like the 1 or 2 challengers that we saw. Caught in the Cold is our only way to interact. And so hopefully we can trade away Call of the Wild. Really hate this card. It's going to be dead like almost 100% of the time. Like we have, let's see, 1 Yeti Yearling, 1 Mighty Poro, and then 1 Troop of Onyx, and then 2 Ancient Yetis. So we have 5 cards in our deck that we could draw. That's horrible. That's not. That's in no way, shape, or form good. So hopefully we can live without that, drawing that, and hopefully trade it away quickly. But here with this last one, it's pretty close. We do have what looks to be a big stack of 1s and 2 drops here, but we have to count that most of these are spells, right? We have one drop unit and then 4 spells, and then in the 2 drops we have 1, 2, 3, 4 spells. So it's 4 spells, 4 units. And so I'm kind of tempted to just pick up the Sentry to have another early game play, but then the Poro is kind of the better of these. Interesting. The thing that with like the Spirit Walker is it's a reasonable unit. We're never upset about playing a 6/6 for 5 mana. We just don't get to take advantage of its ability too much. Its ability really pops off if we're playing Yeti Yearlings and Avarosan Trappers and the like. So our deck, everything everything just already has Overwhelm and doesn't need more Overwhelm. So I think I'm okay with the Sentry and the Bull Elnick. Okay. Well, here's our way to get another Yeti. This is fine. We could arguably take Ithit Stairs. I kind of had some hopes that this may not just be utter garbage with the release of all the landmarks, but the Talia decks are just so bad at this point that there's no reason to ever want Ithit Stairs, and so I'm pretty happy with the Sentry and the Trapper here. And our last one, trade away something. Good. I'd love to get rid of this Troop of Elniks. Like, the Bull Elnick is still a reasonable unit, right? The non-stats for 4 mana, not a bad deal. Just the Troop is going to be horrible here, and we're picking up the best Freljord spell. So all in all, pretty happy with that. Okay, then we do have to go and make something premium. We don't have any cards out of the new set, which is a bit unfortunate. And I'm gonna have a tough time finding a common that we that we haven't leveled up yet. Let me go and see if there's any of these like Freljord common units that we haven't leveled up. Riot's about to start getting my monies real good. We could do it like that. I think I still haven't mastered this since I don't push a lot of these. A lot of these. I don't play a whole lot of constructed and deal with this. So the things that we have: Yeti Yearling, Sentry. Oh, man, we haven't done Icevale Archer yet, but we don't have one in our deck. So we could do Ruthless Raider. I know we have him in our deck. Bull Elnick, I'm not really feeling you. Oh man, we've leveled up the troops before. I bet that one was a Salt Fest. FTP bus Salt Fest is probably what that one turned itself into. But no, I think Ruthless Raider here is okay. Maybe this will help us find some of those mini avalanches along the way. I think this was a pretty good idea to level up. I don't know how you all feel about it, but I think it was a pretty good idea. Okay. Ready to go. Yeah, it came together okay. We've got big in on the Overwhelm strategy. Have a few too many Frostbites in the early game. But I think all in all, we have a pretty serviceable deck here. Wish we would have found some more Avarosan Outriders. We took all of them we saw at 1, but it's a huge hit of raw power, and I'd love to have it in our deck. I'm kind of curious how these end up playing against a lot of the newer cards, right? One of the big things that we'll see is, with Shurima being so good at playing a bunch of Overwhelms, or not Overwhelms, a bunch of Vulnerables, and then our units just being bigger than our opponent's units. I wonder if we're able to come in and just like blank what a lot of our opponents trying to do, right? Bull Elnick is not a unit that you want to be exhausting. Like, this is an extremely tough unit to, just throw a bunch of stats at, and so I think it could turn out to be kind of interesting. Not real sure what our opponent's trying to do here. Nocturne Ashe are not two champions that really want to play well together. There's not a lot of synergies between the two, and so I wouldn't be surprised to see him be in a like a Mist Wraiths kind of deck, and then he just got stuck taking an Ashe. Because if you take this Nocturne, then if this is a Black Mist Nocturne, then he's not paired up with a champion, and you're just kind of like stuck in a different faction. So I think this is okay. Let's go ahead and burn these Brittle Steels while we can. It's not a huge deal. We're giving him, 1 mana for 1 mana. His Bark Beast gets to grow, but we can still deal with it with our other Brittle Steel. We don't have anything else to do. Might as well get him in. There's an argument to kind of like hang on to some of these Brittle Steels, since he is playing Nocturne and Ashe. We can hit both of these champions with one. But, we still have a Caught in the Cold on the backup. And cool, I mean, we just traded 1 mana for 3. That's absolutely fine with me.
These old eyes still see far and clear.
Looks good, looks good. Of course, we draw more Brittle Steels. This Nocturne could not be in a worse spot. Okay, I have to assume that if he's not trying to get Nocturne on the board, we're probably okay. Like, yes, it would be really tough to Nightfall him here, but I think this leaves us in a pretty good spot, especially since the next turn we can just play Elnuck and then Caught in the Cold after the fact. Ooh, he lost his Commander Ladros and a Vengeance. Kind of sucks for you, bro. Definitely sucks for you, bro. And cool, we can pop off both of our spells should we need to. Don't really want to, but it's an option.
For the homestead. Stay back.
Cool, works for me.
Alert the village.
Feels like we're ahead. I mean, our board is better and we're tied on cards. And then being Freljord, we have an expensive unit, so it feels pretty reasonable. Okay. Opponent agreed. All right. Let's see. So, like, ideally, we'll be taking Sejuani's, but I was going to say the thing that would, I'd be willing to let tip the scales is Avarosan Outriders, and then just having the Outriders show up with the Sejuani, beautiful. And so I could, like, see an argument for either of these, but our curve is pretty good even without picking up these two cards, and I still think the Outriders is exactly who we're looking to take. So we do need to trade away some of these early game spells. Like, we did get pretty lucky that game with just having like absolutely perfect Brittle Steels, but if we're going to be like realistic about what our deck is, 4 Brittle Steel and 3 Troll Chant is too many. We need to convert that into some more expensive kind of cards. Okay, I think I'm good to actually just like get rid of Brittle Steel and then hang on to the rest of this. I'd like to find another unit. Of course, the Brittle Steel comes back, but I think this is okay. Ideally, we'll find a 2-drop here pretty quickly.
Years take, experience gives.
Okay, and then I'd like to be getting the Scar Grounds down, but these hands are just way too good when we have all these stats plus a Brittle Steel. Okay, so we just kind of let this thing happen, and then getting the Brittle Steel for the 2-for-1. I guess it's not going to 2-for-1 this guy since he gets his barrier, but again, kind of like in that previous game where we traded a Brittle Steel for the Flash Freeze. I'm very happy to trade a Brittle Steel for a Cataclysm. Yeah, okay. That's how we get the Scar Grounds down. What do we care about? Do we care about this? like we can add the Bolt Elnick. Or the Enraged Yeti. Here's what I think we want to do. I think we want to add the Enraged Yeti. Maybe he won't do anything because we have mana. And then my idea here is just to play the Scar Grounds. Next turn I want to play the Caught in the Cold. And then I think we'll be in a pretty good spot. Picking up Troll Champ's pretty big as well. Might get a 2-for-1 out of this if, you know, he plays another unit here. Say he plays like a 3/3, and then we can get a 2-for-1 with this Troll Chant. It'd be pretty big. We do. If we take this to, let's say we negative attack the Blade Keeper, this goes up to 5. Yeah, this is it. Give an ally 2, give an enemy neg. Okay. Beautiful. Gonna suck a lot for this guy.
Tooth and claw. Hot on the trail. Yeah.
Alright, seems good. Sure. Pretty convinced this card's terrible. I guess he does get the boost with the Screeching Dragon, but that just doesn't feel like a super positive play. Actually do prefer him hooking the Elnick here, since it's going to leave his dragon at 3 and we're looking to open with a bunch of 3-attack units. He probably just blocks our Enraged Yeti, but also gets this into Brittle Steel range. Then unfortunately, I don't think we can play our Outrider. We need to get this Plunder. I don't want him adding like another Screeching Dragon to the board. It's all pretty scary if you start doing that stuff. You might play like a Riposte, which would suck, but that's completely fine.
Let us settle this with grace and civility.
Quickly, Ursine, battle approaches.
The storm is close. Soon.
Alright, let's see if we can go around this. He's certainly going to start getting a better board than us, but... Yep. Brittle Steel is just a turn too late. If we had that Brittle Steel last turn, it would have been so painful for him. Okay.
We go where the War Mother
We can still get in front of this Laurent Duelist and kind of hope for the best.
You'll be right to fear me.
Who goes there?
I don't think this is like overly greedy. Like we just have to like overwhelm through this board. You know, we are getting in the spot to where we could have taken that damage and Brittle Steel the dragon here, but
Surround them.
okay. Oh fuck! No. Fuck. Coulda just got him, I bet we could have got him. Do we have to do this now? I bet we have to do this now. Or do we? No. We have... whatever our next unit is going to have Overwhelm. Shit, we're just dead to the open now, though, aren't we? Fuck. Should have just gone for it. I got too cute there. I was going to wait until he blocked and then played the Battle Fury after, because there's a chance that he doesn't, if he just has like a barrier or something. But that was all terrible. I should have just gone in. Oh, it's brutal. I hate messing up a Battle Fury. But okay, we can get this Call of the Wild out of our deck. I would trade this for actual anything playable, and Scar Maiden Reaver is more than playable. So, ready to continue on. Ah, man. Should have just gone for it. Would have been a guaranteed, victory. He needed something to give it plus health, and then could have stalled it, but brutal. That was brutal not going for that. That was kind of silly of us. Right. We'll recover. It's okay. Love to have some of those those mini avalanches, just hands like this. I mean, it's not spectacular with the sentry, but we have a lot of things that can survive it.
The desert by my side.
Okay.
Always forward.
It's not the end of the world. I mean, it sucks to lose our unit, but that is still a, you know, a 2-mana card for a 2-mana card. It's not a big deal.
Can see the Demacian border from here.
Okay, let's just try to blank it. I don't think we're in a rush to get into combat here.
We live in hallowed
Nice.
times.
Should have made it premium, bro. Should have made it premium.
Tremble before the winter's claw.
Yeah, not really in a rush to get Tarkaz going with the sentry on the board. The sentry's doing a lot of work where he's afraid to, you know, trade mana for mana because we get to draw a card, and so I'm pretty happy to have him. You just fucking blank that? LOL. Oh man.
Set it all ablaze.
Someone teaches this guy how to luck. Sure. Beautiful. So I mean, we get the tough, the plus attack, and he still takes 3 of the 4 damage. Couldn't ask for better than that.
We'll bring peace to Ionia, whatever the cost.
I think we just want to be efficient with our mana here. So let's add Tarkaz. The next turn we'll play Ashe. Maybe this will give us an opportunity to play another unit should we find one. And we're also kind of in this spot to where we can like preemptively troll chant this sentry. Just to give everything the bonus from the Scargrounds. Cool. All right. Back in it. Things are back on track.
The war is over. Now we rebuild.
Okay, cool. And you know, kind of the same deal as that previous trade. You know, our curve is getting a little high. It's a little big for what I like, but I like even more not having Call of the Wild or Entreat in our deck, and so I'm very happy to get rid of Entreat again for a card that's marginally playable. And so even having Alpha Wild Claw be kind of one of the premier Freljord big boys, pretty good pickup. Okay, I have to imagine LeBlanc's biggest fear is playing against the Freljord deck that has 4 Brittle Steels in it. This is a real decision here, is how greedy we want to be. I don't think we can keep both of these. I think we can only keep one Yeti. Like, yes, it's ideal to have these in your opener, but you know, if we're going to turn like 3 or turn 4 before we actually play a unit, it's going to be a big problem. So. Okay, good. Him not having a 1-drop is huge for us.
Nothing escapes my watch.
Feel much safer now, much better.
In Avarosa's name.
Places to go, people to be. Smoke and mirrors.
Look out for Reavers.
Oh, if he has a combat trick, we're all okay with this. And then I say if this is successful, it's just huge for us. Beautiful, beautiful. Now we're in this spot where we can add Ashe, and then if he just plays a 4-drop, he's so boned, right? This is so bad for him if his play is on curve. Even if it's not on curve, we just get to shut down his unit before we attack. Yeah.
Show me a target.
And then we aren't reliant on Ashe, and so if he has some kind of combat trick to trade, his Spiderling into our Ashe, don't really care. There's a very good spot for us here. Okay. So these are going to be 5/4s when they attack. We can't Brutal Steel them. I think we're kind of in a spot to just ignore them. So let's just get as much stats on board as we can. I'm pretty okay with just like taking this 10. Maybe we block one of them with a Sentry, but we're getting our big overwhelms on board now. So that makes me feel a little bit better about this kind of thing. So let's stop this guy. Good to add a Starlit Seer.
We go where the War Mother bids.
Glad to have you.
I'll handle this
Darius.
myself.
Okay, so how bad is this that we attack with everything? Ashe is going to pop Darius, say the 5/4. He doesn't have like a lot of good blocks, but we'll imagine he puts it in front of an Outriders. The 5/2 will come and block Ashe, and then that leaves these guys with no good blocks. So I'm okay with coming in with everything.
This is our home.
And if it comes down to it, we can follow up with a Avarosan Sentry. Depending on how he blocks here, we can Brittle Steel this Legion Marauder. And then next turn, if he doesn't open on us, we can Sejuani down his Darius. So this feels like it's going to be pretty decent. That will also, Sejuani Brittle Steel will flip our Ashe next turn, which is kind of cool. Let's see if he gets. I was gonna say if he gets ultra cute with this Darius, we can, just try to save the Brittle Steel for Darius, not have to worry about him. That's an option. Let's just add an Avarosan Sentry here. Okay.
Our land. They're out there. I'll spot them.
So these will grow. These are both going to get an additional attack. But again, if he doesn't open on us, this Sejuani's huge. We just hit a Harsh Winds as well. Beautiful, beautiful. Strength in numbers, number 2. Oh, decisive maneuver. Okay. People typically do that in combat. That was kind of strange. We can still hit one of these if he attacks, so I don't want to lead out with this Brittle Steel.
Pain is nothing.
That should be enough to probably end the game.
Look what I found. Come on, boys. Look out for Reapers.
Let's not ruffle our feathers.
I'll lead us to victory.
Has to be good.
This will be a good winter.
And we just have this humongous open next turn with all these overwhelms. We can preemptively Harsh Winds so his stuff can't block. I think this game's done.
Alert the village.
Okay.
Crows will have what's left. Plenty for all of us.
Sure. He's tapped out, so I'm not ultra worried about what's happening here.
Swiftly now.
Alright, enjoy that. He can get in here and block. He can play some combat trick to give a unit plus attack, but good luck with that.
We survive.
We survived. Good job, team. So, like, given the makeup of our deck, I'm pretty cool with just switching over to Ashes now, right? We're pretty good at our top end with 2 Sejuani, 2 Wild Claws. Ancient Yetis are kind of like mid-ground as far as expensive card go. But we are getting to pick up an Avarosan Outrider if we take the Sejuani. I think this is pretty close. These cards are so expensive. I do always love having one Rhyme Tusk Shaman in these decks because, you know, things go wrong. You like to just have this permanent Frostbite. Man, this one's much closer than I thought it was going to be. I think we're okay with this 2-2 split. We've done like a lot more frostbiting than I ever imagined we would with this deck. I don't know if that's just a function of having 4 brittle steels, but it's like we have had no trouble flipping this Ashe. I've had like dedicated Freljord decks, dedicated Ashe decks that have had more trouble flipping than we have in this one. But I think here I'm just going to take this last Sejuani. You know, if it gets us in a spot to where we can trade, you know, an Ursine Spirit Walker for a Caught in the Cold or something, I'm pretty okay with it. We can trade Battle Fury for, you know, something cheaper. I'm pretty okay with it. The big one I want is this Outriders, and so I'm going to stick with the Sejuani plan here. Okay. We haven't got to do too much with the Outriders, but I assure you, it is very good. What up, Teddy KGB? I was looking for a way to drop some Rounders quotes the other day in one of my tweets, but I didn't. I couldn't quite piece it together. You know, it's right. If you're not familiar with Rounders, this was. I had to look down and see if I had a Party Poker shirt on. It was like anyone my age that was like heavily into card games was like wrapped up right in the poker boom when that hit in the early 2000s, and like a large part of what, you know, caused that explode was the movie Rounders. Great movie if you're not familiar with it. It's Matt Damon, Edward Norton poker movie. But I think this is fine. I'll Brittle Steel if he wants to come in. We just got to do something with these. But there's one of the quotes in there is when Ed Norton just gets out of prison. They're taking him to his first game, and he has the line, you know, you're at the table, the table's all set. You know, he's talking about having like the plates and everything ready to go, but you just don't have the steak. And, you know, it's one of those, I know double entendre isn't the correct word, but it's one of those double meanings where, you know, he's implying steak in the sense of, you know, the meat you eat for dinner, and also steak in the sense of needing your bankroll for poker. And here, this is kind of strange. Like, we could open Ancient Yeti, but I think I want to go ahead and get the Scargrounds down and then bank up some of the spell mana for this. But no, that kind of quote reminded me very much. Hang on, and then I just played the Ancient Yeti anyways. It'll still play out the same, but okay. We can troll chant through this.
You should have run.
Long story short, the point of this lecture, if you will, was that you know, it reminded me very much of these Jarvan decks I've been playing, as to where, you know, we have a lot of the setup. You know, we have all of the various brittle steel, or not brittle steels, all the various vulnerable cards, all the ways to give a challenger and everything, but we just didn't have like the meat to fight through. You're having to get all these kind of like 2-for-1 trades, and we just kind of needed that meat. So I was trying to get my Rounders quotes in there. I don't know. I feel like I'm too old sometimes and nobody's going to get it, but I like to think my reference game's on point, but you know, I'm not all up on the yeeting and everything. That old man, you kids out there with your yeets and your yellows and stuff, and you hear the old man say it, and you're like, fuck. Mom said on Fleek the other day, we can't use this word anymore. But no, long story short, highly recommend Rounders if it's not a movie you're familiar with.
Foolish.
Let's get that off the board. We still need something to recover with here. He's got a lot more cards than us, and our board is pretty weak, but This is a pretty decent start. Yep. Oh, these are problems. We can't deal with the the 7 health versions of these.
Look what I found. Come on, boys.
Alright, well at least we can get a brittle steel out of one of these. We put a big unit in front of it. Ooh, caught in the cold is 1 short. That's extremely painful. I think we're in a spot where we just kind of have to hope for the best and that he makes dumb blocks. I don't even think we're getting that. I mean, we can caught in the cold this Legion Marauder, but I think this is going to be too much to deal with. What you got for us, Teddy KGB? The mad Russian sitting around eating his Oreos. Okay, I just don't think he ever gets greedy here. Not a lot we can do with this.
Leave nothing standing.
I'm okay with this trading with anything. The only way this is like particularly good for us is if he gets his 8-2 into combat. And say it just doesn't seem. Ooh. Say it doesn't seem ultra likely that he's going to bring this guy forward. Okay. He has a whirling death or something here. We're just completely boned as well, but. Yep. Okay. This one's done. Okay, what are we looking to pick up here? I don't think we want to really do any of these. We should probably pick up the second Harsh Winds. Yeti Earling's not hugely important here, but there's not a lot of difference in Augur of the Old Ones and Alpha Wildclaw. We're just never going to hit this Behold. We do have 2 Battle Furies, but it's kind of whatever. The Brittle Steel Troll Chant, looking to get these out of our deck, and there's not much difference in the swap. But if it comes to this, I think Brittle Steel is arguably a little bit better here. In this kind of deck, as you've seen on a lot of these turns, we're just going like nothing on turn 1 and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that gives us a shot to Brittle Steel to where we have to kind of stop on our curve if we want to get Troll Chants going. And so it's not hard to get the Troll Chant going, but I think I would rather have more Brittle Steels than more Troll Chants. Nah, man, with rounders, since we're on the topic, there's like always 2 things that come out of this to me. It's like for a portion of my life, I did play the poker professionally, and for the most part, you don't have to be like wildly good at poker. Oh boy, we haven't got to bitch about Kindred yet. One of the things that you tend to find out is it's not a matter. I think we want to just get rid of all of this. We have to be aggressive against this Kindred deck, and I think I want to search for units outside of the Poro. But it's not really about being good, like in the sense of like, am I good enough to be on TV? No. Am I like ever the best player in the poker room? No. It's like you show up to the casino and I would just end up playing in like the smaller games, and then I would play in the bigger games on the weekends when there were more terrible players around. But it's not a matter of being good. It's just a matter of being better than 3 or 4 different people at the table, and then recognizing at the table who's better than you, and really just kind of like picking and choosing of like how you're going to pick on these people that are worse than you, and how you're going to protect yourself against the people that are better than you. And so for the most part, it wasn't a matter of are you good at poker. I was, in the grand scheme of things, I was horrific at poker. Like I was not good at it. But that's kind of like one of the things they touch on in Rounders is, you know, it's not a matter of, you know, being good. You know, it's not a matter of being, uh, you know, I don't even know who the best poker player in the world would be these days. But it's so much just a matter of not being the worst. It's such a strange concept because whenever we get so used to now, like, you know, playing in MMR based games and playing in ladder based games, and just running into these spots to where you know, you're completely just paired against people of similar skill levels over and over again. Here we just got to buy ourselves time here. But in poker, it's just like it's just a matter of finding people that are absolutely worse than you. And so it's so weird. Like you have to find this kind of balance of, you know, if you're just picking it on morons all the time, then you're never going to get better. You know, you're just going to stay the same. That's the kind of the quickest and easiest way to get better is just to play with people better than you and study what you're doing and study what they're doing. It just has such a humongous payoff to completely play against people that are worse than you forever. It's so strange. But no, that long tangent was thing number one. Thing number two with it is like I get really kind of like frustrated whenever you kind of have to like watch poker on TV and how they, you know, whatever mainstream TV show it is trying to make poker interesting. Here we're just gonna have such a good battle fury so frequently, right? And it was like the big thing is like they touch on it so well, like they cover. Here, this is fine. I'm just gonna battle fury through this bull Onic unless he does something weird. But it's just like he makes like the one humongous mistake of just taking like too much of his money into a game at once, and it's just like I don't know if he would ever do that. It's like I can get by with these like TV shows of people just playing like completely horribly and you know, thinking that ultimately it all comes down to like, you know, this dude winked at me or something and that was his big tell. But it's like Mike McDermott taking his entire bankroll into a single game is something that character would realistically just never do. Okay, this is a little unfortunate, but I think we're still okay here. We got a lot of big boys backing up in our hand. I get it. I gotta stop talking about about Rounders anecdotes. I'm just gonna completely lose track of what we're doing here. I think this is fine. We get a big boy on board. We have Troll Chant mana. We're looking to start picking on what he's doing. Okay. This deck still doesn't seem very premium, right? The next turn we can spew off a bunch of spells in addition to the Bull Onic. I think this is good. Good. So I think we want to add the Bull. We probably want to add the Starlit Seer because I'm planning on playing 2 spells here, one of them being Caught in the Cold. I do want to Caught in the Cold down this Neverglade Collector. And then we'll probably get off some Troll Chant at this point. Some point in this combat. This is fine. This is never a game-winning turn.
Who goes there? For the thrill of battle.
Okay, now how do we answer this Tryndamere? Should only be playing 1 copy. He's maybe playing 2. We get him into Troll Chant against our Bull Elnick, then we can still Troll Chant through that, and then Harsh wins next turn. But we kind of need to like Battle Fury through him next turn.
Peace is our home.
I still think this is okay. I don't think we have the luxury of playing slow here. I think we need to get in you know, a reasonable like 6-7 chunk of damage here and then try to kill with Battle Fury next turn. So if we can Troll Chant through this Tryndamere, deal with it with Harsh Winds next turn, and then Battle Fury on our turn, I think that would be pretty good.
An auspicious season.
I'll never yield.
Okay. You flipped? It's always worth checking, right? It's not unreasonable to think Ashe is flipped. Close. Okay, so I think the Scar Grounds is all we can really deploy here. Gonna Harsh Winds through some of this. The next turn, just have a Battle Fury. This Ashe isn't really in the cards, I don't think.
Attack!
I was like, if he just comes in with Trendemir, this totally gives us a out to just Battle Fury. It would be fantastic.
Snow buries all. Safeguard our homes.
Okay, then he's doing stuff here, but like thought number 2 is like, how do we just like take some damage and like remove as much of his stats from the board as he can? Like, what if we try to just get some like trades with his like Trendemir and Bull Elnick just to reduce his stat total and try to get an overwhelm kill? I don't think that's ultra important here. I think we want to put as much stats as we can reasonably in front of Trendemir, but here we need to prevent this hit. We can put a 6 stat here, put you here, put you here, only look to take 2. And then if we're going to Harsh Winds, we need to Harsh Winds Trendemir, and then we can Harsh Winds his Scarthane Stefan. Only losing Starlit Seer in the process. I dig. He's probably got, you know, like 1 combat trick to a point, so we're probably going to lose 1 unit here. But I think in general this is okay. Go in murder mode on a ton of his stats across the board. Oh, he just doesn't even have a play. Oh, that's beautiful. So this opens huge now, right? I don't think he can do a bit of work with the Harsh Winds here. I'm just so surprised to see him not actually play any combat tricks there, like not play a Fury of the North or anything. But I 100% think that we're going to just be like Battle Furying a Mighty Poro, and then he's going to have to deal with like 17 stats on the minimum. And that's hopefully enough to, well, he can definitely put 4 stats in front of things. I think this is still our guy though, right? We're still hitting Mighty Poro here. It's not good sequencing, but sure. It's tough. I mean, we can add Ashe. She deals with the Trendemir. And then we're just kind of under the assumption that he has to just block everything anyways. And we do still have the Battle Fury for next turn. So how does this go? We play Ashe. Let's just say he plays Alpha Wildclaw. Trendemir doesn't really want to block. Avarosan Sentry isn't a good block, but it goes in front of Mighty Poro. Kindly Tavern Keeper goes in front of this. He's still taking so much damage this way. Okay. I'm on board with this. I think we can eat a Trendemir hit next turn. This just doesn't feel scary enough, even, you know, if he adds Alpha Wildclaw. I feel Archer kind of as bad as it could be, but...
Our ranks fill the valley.
I'm at 14-15 overwhelmed. Yeah, this is okay.
Look out for Reavers.
Let's talk about your tag.
Gonna get him to like 3 without looking at it. He's gonna be at like 3. Oh, is it exactly 0? Okay,
I've carved meat bigger than you.
that's the same block. He can, I mean, he can safely put Trendemir in front of our Mighty Poro, but I understand why he's worried of losing him.
Look out for Reavers.
But I mean, like realistically at this stage, if he's losing his Trendemir, he's lost. He's, you know,
Stay back.
if we have the Fury of the North, he's lost this game anyways. Get a flash freeze. Oh, Fury of the North, sure.
If it's a fight they want,
Still kills his unit. That's good for us. Okay.
I'm back next.
Get on board, bruh.
Fight or die.
do not stand in my way. just flesh, rage incarnate.
So how much is this? 17? So we're gonna have to Battle Fury through it. Like, where does this get us? What if we do like one of these? Leaves us at -1, so we can Battle Fury. But this is the most health that we can put in front of Tryndamere, right? This has 2 health and tough. Everything else has either 1 or 2 health and tough. So I think we're fine. He can't combat trick through this. There's no 3 mana combat trick for Freljord Shadow Isles that does 3 damage here.
Nothing escapes my watch. These old eyes still see far and clear.
Good game, friend. Ashe is going to flip on this attack and he can't block. So I guess he could draw Harsh Winds. But I think the open is probably a little safer. I don't want him to have a random fucking Trundle Quake or a Winter's Breath or something that shuts down our whole team at a slow speed. Nice.
Now begins a new era of peace.
Yeah, quit talking about poker movies and focus a little bit. Alright, don't want any more Battle Furies. I'm kind of okay with trading out Tarkaz for Avarosan Sentry. It's kind of tough. Like, this hasn't like worked out to be a deck where the Scargrounds is very good. Like, Tarkaz is our kind of like lone Scargrounds combo. And we do tend to like pick up a reasonable number of 5-drops between Reavers and Spirit Walkers. Interesting. How many? We have 3 sentries at this point. We have 3 Sejuani, 2 Wow Claws gets us to 7. We'll call it Ancient Yeti like 6 expensive cards. He's like right on the cusp of being expensive though. I think I'm okay to hang on to Tarkaz at this point. He does have reasonable combos with our deck. And then, you know, if we're going to have like 7 of these early game plays, I'm happy with the 4 Brittle Steel, 3 Troll Chant split. I think Elixir of Iron is actually the worst of the 3 in this deck. And so we'll go ahead and skip over that one. If we have like, you know, a bunch of challengers or something in your deck, then you might disagree with wanting Elixir of Irons. But I think in this specific deck, it's the worst choice that we have. You know, we either want it to be a Brittle Steel to combo with our Ashe, or we want it to be a Troll Chant for the 2-for-1s. It's on one side of the coin though. It's like we only played against a Nasus Strike once today, but it is so good to counterspell Nasus Strikes with an Elixir of Iron. It's just here we go against Nasus Kindred. So incredibly powerful. Okay, well this isn't a hand. Makes me wish I'd mulligan. Makes me wish I'd transferred into a 2-drop for that Tarkaz just to have a little bit more early game when we see things like that happen. But let's see, well, we'll be okay. He did play against Kindred earlier, and I was like, all right, don't get started, don't say anything, don't bitch. And then they didn't draw it. And then this guy, I don't know what this guy's doing. It looks like he only has 1 copy of Kindred, 2 copies of Nasus. I don't know why you'd ever want to do that, but
Fight or die.
I'm on board with it. Okay. Sure, nothing we can do about that. Then I'll Troll Chant down this Escaped Abomination in combat, given the opportunity to do so. I don't really want to be passing. When our hand gets like really awkward with the mana like this, I don't want to be passing with mana up.
Faster than my arrow?
Ashe is very safe here.
Not.
Okay. Boost, neg, good deal. control his board while we can. Things are gonna get nasty quick once he's able to add Kindred. I know he only has one copy, but we have to just assume the worst when it comes to that stupid card. Alright, then the big decision we have next turn is, like, are we going to try to get a not open attack with Sejuani, or are we going to try to open and get a big Spirit Walker? I'm pretty okay with adding, like, Yeti a Sentry here, but, you know, it ultimately depends on what unit he plays. And so by that I mean, like, I'm okay with play. I think we're going to play them either way, right? We're going to play Sentry Yeti, and then opponent plays like a unit that we care about, and we're going to pop it with the Sentry and then Sejuani it down next turn, or he's just going to do some combination of things we don't care about. This is something I want to hit with Sejuani, but I think the Ancient Yeti might be enough to convince him not to attack.
Men die, but Sharima lives forever.
And do we ever just want to bank the mana here? Feel good about that. Let's actually just bank. You know, we have like 6 or 7 draws that are very good. Maybe not, now that this unit's gone.
In Sharima's name.
It's very easy for him to play something that just trades with the Sentry, but I think we're okay with this.
Feel no fear, show no mercy. Words to die by.
You could be so much
Good. We unfortunately can't attack with Ashe. Well, technically could. It doesn't feel ultra safe.
In Avarosa's name.
Ride onward.
So little to ask.
Come on, indie game. Come on, small indie company. What's this stuff just sitting out here? But no, this is fine. I think we're getting a pretty good spot to where we can just kind of overwhelm through this stuff. The big thing that I think we'll be looking for is a harsh winds on our actual attack next turn. This attack that he's able to put together here isn't particularly scary. So the thing I'm idealizing here is if we bank 3 mana next turn, we'll have 8, and then we could still play a 5 next turn. Okay, there's nothing we can do about that. Do we ever change our tune to where we want to say Frostwind's Caught in the Cold this turn to flip our Ashe, then have Crystal Arrow going into next turn to have 6 mana to try to kill with? That seems a little thin. Are we also ever willing to just take 10 here? Or 12? Probably not, but I will put a Outrider in front of this thing. This is okay.
United, nothing can stop us.
That Elner could use a bath.
I guess we could also realistically just take the 6 Harsh Winds down his 2 units, keeping ours alive. Oh, we can't Harsh Winds now. We do that next turn.
Intruders, stay back.
Okay.
Our lad.
Well, get this thing out of here, Riot. You got this 6/3 thing just sitting on the middle of the board.
We go where the War Mother bids.
Glad to have you.
Okay, so we can see what he does. We can't be lethal here, unfortunately, because like unless he just passes. Like if he just passes, he has a vengeance. But we can do this thing to where we like Harsh Winds 2 of his units attack with Ashe. You know, like we preemptively harsh winds, frostbite his whole team, and then she flips and can't block. Not going to be able to do that here, but I'm pretty happy about having access to Crystal Arrow next turn. This does Allegiance, sucks for you, bro.
Swiftly now.
How we feel, or would we rather just like caught in the cold? Because I don't want to have to spend like the big thing is if he's like able to open on us next turn. Let's just caught in the cold, get his big unit off the board, and then protect ourselves with harsh winds next turn and try to kill with harsh winds. Right? See, I was initially having this idea that we're going to attack. He can't, you know, use this thing to block because it's going to get hit with Ashe. Then we're going to attack with, you know, both of our units, Hearthwind, both of his blockers. Maybe that would have been okay. I was worried about him having like a good open attack on his board and us not being able to harsh winds it down. This might have been... That's starting to sound like that was better and better. But, I mean... Weird. I don't know. Like, what if he adds like just a 3/3 here? That seems like a.
Surround them.
Okay. I feel better about this now. Now that he's taking at least 3 damage, depending on how he blocks. Now we have a good harsh winds. Okay, I feel better about this. He only has 1 mana now, so we don't have to worry about our unit. We'll have 12 mana going into next turn, so in harsh winds, I mean, Tarkaz looks really good here. Yep. But like this spot is where my worry was, right? Say he has just a big open, we have to sacrifice some of our units to not die, and then, you know, we wouldn't be able to Crystal Arrow through it. But we seem fine now.
I came to fight.
That's not bad, not gonna lie about that. I want to get this Crystal Arrow. Well, I mean, I think we probably still have to get the Crystal Arrow. So let's hit Rasa and this thing, I guess. Can take a 4 hit.
Avarosa, guide me!
Oh, we do keep our Ashe this way. Okay, planned it. Okay, still worried about this being enough, though. This has been an awkward game. There's just been like a bunch of ways I wish we could have gone back and redone some of these things.
Who goes there?
We got 2 big overwhelms. As it stands, we can shut down his whole board. He's going to have to add another big boy. And then even if he, say, has like a vengeance onto Ashe here, what are we repping? 9? So he can still stop us with Rasa.
This cursed life is now my penance.
So cold.
Tremble before the winter's claw.
So small. One too small. Do we ever Crystal Arrow? What can that ever draw us? Like Brittle Steel, Troll Chant, Sentry, Ruthless Raider. So if we hit like specifically Ruthless Raider, we would be okay.
Death begins your forever fable.
We're still in like similar spot. I think we just pass. His open isn't good enough. His open is good enough to kill us. Let's see what. We have to get these stats off the board. right? Because if we go into the next turn and he just opens, even without this Yeti, he could just block us with the remitters and end it. Damn. I don't think we played this one too well. I think we could have done things a little differently and been in a better spot.
Stay out of my way.
Now we can just block with the Yeti.
Death becomes you.
Yeah, sit here and just make a bunch of groaning noises. we can top deck our way out of this. We have a lot of brittle steels that are good here, but I'm not happy with how we've played this one. And there's the big boy. You would have been such a difference maker.
We enter an age of men and gods.
Okay, he's still just gonna come in. There's no two ways around it. But give him a chance to make a boo-boo, little oopsies.
Judgment awaits.
And I think we could have played this one differently. I think if I would have felt like I was safer, like I think it ultimately came down to that turn, to where I was afraid that we were just gonna die. Right, I thought he was going to be able to open on us and kill us, and we couldn't play a defensive crystal arrow, and so I didn't attack, and I kind of like out-leveled myself on that. And I didn't realize that, you know, if we're forcing him to block, then we're not going to die on the attack back on the next turn. So God, that's where it was too much for my brain to wrap around and talk about at the same moment. I was probably talking about poker at the same time, and so. But here, I'm happy to pick up the Tusk Raider. You know, we don't need that much top end, but just a huge piece of raw power to be adding in here. Good with our 2 harsh winds. Don't want big Yeti. So yeah, I mean, I'm really wanting to push our curve down, but like picking up the Tusk Raider lets us just kind of like at will get rid of the rest of our remaining like top end and just try to get cheap shit in here. And so I'm happy to go ahead and pick this up. Also lets us, you know, trade away a Sejuani for an Ashe and feel pretty good about it. So very strong pickup, very good. Okay, let's recover. that was a little sloppy, but I think we're doing fine. Pretty powerful little thing we got going here. Okay, well, this is some early game plays. That's what we like to see. There we go. All right. I try my best not to sneeze under the microphone. Okay, so Trundle Zed Karma, interesting little set. So I'm surprised we aren't seeing a bunch of... It always just weirds me out to see somebody playing Zed and not just being kind of like all in on the Zed. It's weird just having these 3 factions and 2 Trundles, but I think we're okay. I want to start with the Starlit Seer. There's a very good chance, if it's like a base Ionia, or as far as Ionia Piltover is concerned, that he can't play a unit that actually interacts well with the Starlit Seer. And then we're hopefully putting ourselves in a spot to where, you know, if we're going to start brittle stealing and troll chanting and such, that we'll get the bonus out of this, a little bit extra value. Okay, well that certainly shuts down our unit, but not the end of the world.
Without a sound.
Okay.
This land is ours.
He's about to get caught.
Seize control.
Oh, you're doing it like that. Alright, let's play the expensive one. So let's give you plus attack. Let's give you neg.
Blessed by snow and
Do something like this.
The order.
Okay, and then we don't have like super good attacks next turn, but I mean, at least if we get, you know, this Ruthless Raider in front of his Patrol Wardens, then that's great. With this, it's still okay to come in and play a Brittle Steel. I don't think we're going to have to worry about too much more in the way of Zeds, but, you know, we'll get the full bank here and move on. Hopefully we aren't just stuck not playing units next turn, though. Okay. And we're stuck not stuck not playing units next turn. That's a little unfortunate, but okay, is what it is. Oh, and he has an expensive. I'm gonna guess it's a Freljord card, but
Feel no fear, show no mercy. Words to die by.
Where there is life,
sure.
there is hope.
Karma's ultimately not too scary.
There you are.
If he does weird shit, then we can play a troll chant through this. Okay. Seems good. Seems better now that he's not really building up a board around this. I don't care if he just sits around and, you know, play spells that we don't care about. But if we're getting in the spot where we can even potentially close the game out next turn with a with like a Alpha Wildclaw Battle Fury, that would be pretty cool.
Blessed by snow and stars.
Could have even protected our Sejuani with the old Battle Fury here. We'll see. We'll see how this pans out. Resonating Strike's not quite enough to take her down, but you know, that's how it pans out. I'm not upset about it. No, we're just gonna run out the Wild Claw. If he has the Mystic Shot or whatever, then it just kind of is what it is.
Toll collectors.
Okay, I think this probably ends the game.
These eyes see all.
Okay, so he's got a block.
Boss said so.
This is the least intimidating blocks 2020. I'd love to see him like try to Mystic Shot Sejuani or something. Harsh Winds is a little different, but at least our Battle Fury is still good here. Oh. And a Jury Rig, okay.
I'm trying to feed my family.
An auspicious season.
Okay. Seems good. Seems good. Got a bunch of rando spells in his hand, but I think it's okay. The Outriders starting out as a big boy. Don't mind that. Okay, so I mean, ideally, we'll just add the Bull Elnic Outriders. The Bull Elnic is not particularly interesting here, but, you know, we don't have a lot else to be doing. It's just gonna, you know, when it comes to these attacks, we really care about our overwhelms. Sure. And, you know, just him throwing random 1-2 in front of Bull Elnic typically prevents more damage than he would be able to stop by any overwhelm. So let's just let this happen. Protect our units from Mystic Shots or whatever, and then see if we can't close this out right now.
My spirit is
She is flipped. We do have to worry about him playing like a bunch of health potions or something, but I think it's probably just a matter of time and not so much a matter of you know, worrying about these spells. Okay.
Many past lives
can have 4
in a
spells.
single soul.
We get, hope we didn't speak too soon. If we get burned out by this karma, that's going to be a little bit unfortunate. This does let him play things like Aftershock, which is kind of scary. Maybe we should have just gone ahead and got the attack in, knowing that she was flipped, but see if we'll see if we regret this. There's a lot of ways that this can go wrong, but
Leave nothing standing.
oh no, he's playing spells. At least it's not slow, like, right? If it was a slow spell, then that, you know, we had our options to play around it. But if he's playing like fast spells and bursts, then there's just nothing we could do about it.
Just looking out for the public.
All right, gets him to a Nega Million, so he's gonna need something good here.
Face me, coward.
Uh-oh. those cards are coming out again. Okay, sure. Still lethal. Good deal. Alrighty. Yeah, clinch the butt cheeks a little bit when they have flipped karma and they're just putting spells out and stuff, but I was pretty sure we were okay. That was probably a little greedy, again, to give him the opportunity to play a slow spell. You know, he could draw 4 randoms and hit the Ruination or something, and then we've got problems. But, you know, wasn't the case. So let's see. Again, like, all we're really going to be looking to do here is to push our curve down. There's no trades here we actually want to make. We don't want to. I don't think we'll ever trade out any of these small units unless, like, it's a world where we're trying to pick up an Omen Hawk or something. And so, like, if we felt like it was an upgrade for like Trapper into Stefan, then sure. Or if we were like picking up Trappers for another 3-drop or something, you know, these real like marginal upgrades and whatever. But as it stands now, I think we're just trying to get rid of some expensives for some cheaps and call it a day. Maybe pick up another. Not Fury of the North. Pick up another vulnerable freeze, whatever that thing's called. I'd be cool with another one of those. Okay, here come the challengers. Curious how this plays out. Like, I kind of have that idea in my head that this should be okay, right? We probably just have to look for the cheapers across the board as much as I want to keep that 4-drop. Right, but if we have like a 6/6 on the board, it's very tough for them to just interact with it in combat, right? That's kind of my idea with this style of deck being good against challengers. You know, they do have things like, you know, the barrier dude, the barrier dude getting a challenge in and stuff, but
I have been sent
this
by
thing.
the king himself.
I think this is reasonable. I also think it's reasonable to expect that he never blocks here. It'd be cool if he did. I mean, we're getting our value and he's not.
Above the rest.
Okay. This reeks of like a troll chant doing it like this, but he has to know that things aren't going well here.
I've learned a trick or two.
Blessed by snow and stars.
Okay, still good for us. I mean, we'll have this 1 mana banked. I don't want to play the Outriders now. I just want to play Mighty Poro so that we can troll chant, but it's okay. We're looking extremely strong against this board. Ooh, he doesn't even have like a Renekton. Beautiful, beautiful.
No honor in this.
Okay, plus attack, neg attack.
An auspicious
Beautiful.
season.
Bring him home.
Okay. I mean, seems good for us, right? Ooh, and a Brittle Steel. Nice.
Time to get rowdy. Look out for reavers.
I'm cool to just come in and take the 3-shot from the, whatever his friend is called.
United, nothing can stop us.
I fight for the fallen.
Radiant's more on the annoying side of things, but... Did we mess this up? Not just playing Bull Elnick? Oh, this feels brutal now. We're just taking this big bomb of a hit. I guess that was a little greedy. I was interested in just picking up this big unit. I didn't suspect such a big boy would be coming down behind.
Bow to no one. Stand and fight.
-2, and it's going to kill 2 units.
Hope burns on.
Okay.
This will be a good winter.
I mean, I feel like that was ultimately a pretty good turn for us. We're big on board and about to get bigger. We got all these sweet combat tricks in here. I think this is good. Show him the horns. Is that what Bull Elnick does? Does Bull Elnick show him the horns? Okay, here comes this big boy. It's only a 4 mana play. Shouldn't be too scared of it. Yeah, I got Brittle Steel for that.
If you've hurt him, I've learned a trick or two. Who goes there?
protect our stats where we got them. So I think this is good. I think this Outriders is about to get blasted with a Battle Fury next turn, and then I think we're looking pretty fresh to shut down his next attack with the Harsh Winds, and then get the Overwhelm kill on our next attack token. This looks pretty good for us.
Surround them.
This is lethal, isn't? No, it's just 2, so we can just take it. That's kind of scary, but. Nice.
We survive.
Battle Fury. Love me a Battle Fury. So let's see. Let's get ourselves into this final battle. I don't think we need 2 Tusk Raiders. That's fine. But as we've been talking about, the cards we're looking to pick up are some cheapers for these expensives, and getting rid of Alpha Wildclaw feels pretty good. Man, the option for a second Tusk Raider. Oh man, that's such a big play, but it's also so expensive. I think we just have to let the second one go. Man, if we felt really confident that we could trade away the Sejuani for another Ashe or something, then I'd be kind of okay with picking up the Tusk Raiders, but so close. I think we have to just let it go and be happy with the 1. Here, I don't want flash freezes, and then we have enough troll chance, so we can skip all those. With this, cool with trading out the Reaver for a Rhymefang Wolf. Just give us some of this early game interaction. Works for me. As long as we don't trade out too much of our top end, we'll be okay. And here, I don't want to make any of these trades. Happy with the Yetis. Don't want to trade our Littles. Looking pretty good. All right. So it's been a little shaky along the way. I won't say that this has been rank 1 NA type play, but sometimes your medium effort and a little luck's better than what your opponents are doing. And so that's why I always felt like I was in a spot to where I could like top 8 a Grand Prix in Magic, or make a decent run into the money in a Pro Tour. Like I know I'm certainly no LSV or Palo or somebody that's able to just crush to no end, and certainly nothing like a Finkel or something, but show up on a day and don't play horrible and have some run goods on your side, then I felt like I could always do well enough, and that's kind of how it ran. I had some close runs at top 8 in Grand Prix. Didn't quite get there, but close. I don't even think they have Grand Prix anymore. They have Magic Fests now. Ugh. I don't know. I don't follow it too much anymore. I try to follow, like with Magic, I try to follow the interesting Kindred, Callista, Sivir. I think we can get rid of Troll Chant, but we have to keep Caught in the Cold, and then we have to specifically hold on to it for like Kindred. I hope that's the game plan. Is that going to play out like that? Probably not, but Caught in the Cold Sejuani is our only ways to deal with Kindred, and if she gets to hang out on the board, our only ways to deal with the Kindred are these Caught in the Colds and Sejuanis. So if she hangs out on the board just as a landmark with our curve style deck, she's just going to annihilate us. And so I think Caught in the Cold is actually pretty important to hang on to. But no, it's like I try to keep up with Magic a little bit. I like to know what's happening and such, but it's so frequently like you go to the Magic subreddit and it's just a bunch of stuff like altars. And so I don't care about altars, and I don't really care about how bent your commander cards are. It's it's an unfortunate part of life that Magic cards are all bent and shit, but it's not one of the things I particularly care about. Nonetheless, this seems pretty reasonable for us. I assume he's not going to just throw away his Reaper. Well, his Reaper just got a little bit bigger. So I think we do just have to trade now. He's down a card. This was a really aggressive play without a Callista. But I think we can take the extra point of damage from the Butcher to just block the Reaper, right? Because if we block the Butcher, this is just going to become a 3 anyways. And this is ultimately a scarier unit in the future. Okay, and then given how bonkers aggressive he's been trying to be here, I think we have a couple options. I was thinking that we could play the Sentry and then just Caught in the Cold this and give up on our, oh shit, we gotta worry about Callisto, or worry about Kindred plan. Yeah, no, I think if his plan is to be that aggressive, we can wait a turn. I think this is completely safe. We're even with him being this this Kindred deck, I don't think that we're the aggro here. Okay, but I mean, I am willing to throw a Mighty Poro in front of Sivir. Oh no, she's gonna have quick attack. I would have rather played the Sentry now. That was a mistake. That might be what cost us the game here. Because, like, we can deal with this Sivir. I think we probably just have to do this. It's so brutal if this goes wrong, though. Let's buy some time. We can throw something in front of her next turn. And then if we can deal with her with Sejuani, then we're back to being okay. Ooh, that was definitely a mistake not playing the Sentry there.
Shall we, dear wolf?
Yep. What else are you supposed to say when they play fucking Kindred? Like, so yeah, it's like he can. We have to troll chant, or he's just gonna full clear our board with a fucking unspeakable horror. Like this is the dumbest shit ever. I just have like a hard. I gotta let the salt go, but I can't imagine that anyone on the expedition team was like, Kindred is a good idea to have an expedition. This is what we feel like the future of fun is putting Kindred into expedition. Oh god, I hate to be salty, but it's fucking abysmal playing against this thing.
Business as usual.
Alright, so you can either just take the non-bomb, or you can block one and just lose your units. It's pretty interactive scenario that we run ourselves into here. I mean, to a degree, I guess we could try and take down this Sivir. We'll still get to bank. I think that part of this is at least reasonable. We just have to accept that our unit's going to die over here. But if we give you 2, you neg, we can take out his Sivir. Just get like 3 for 1. That's not so bad, is it? Not sure what they would be stalling here for. It feels like he may have like a vengeance and he's thinking about getting cute, but he really wants to get the 2 for 1 for that vengeance, so it ultimately makes me feel pretty worried about what's going to happen next turn. Like, it's a decent spot against Kindred that at least we can be in. Like, we play Sejuani, we attack, he either has the vengeance and doesn't get the 2 for 1 on us, or we get to kill his Kindred. But this big stall here makes me ultimately believe he's deciding if he wants to protect his Sivir with his vengeance that he's about to play. Okay. We get to lose our unit. It's very fun and interactive. Let's see. If this play works, then we should be in an okay spot. And then ultimately, like, I'm like 95% sure that his thought was, do I want to play Vengeance? And we're just about to lose our Sejuani. So there's really no coming back from this if it doesn't work, but we didn't have any options any other way. There we go. Yep, that was fun. And so I hate to be salty about this shit, but like Kindred is just like the least fun. Like it is the actual least fun card I've ever played against an expedition. Like it at least felt like when you were playing against the Grand Plaza there was some like playback to it. But playing against Kindred, like realistically, like looking at this Freljord deck, like what spot are we supposed to be in to where we can like realistically handle a Kindred, right? We have a Rhymefang Wolf to where we can hopefully challenge and Frostbite, but our Frostbites are mostly brittle steels. That's kind of design of our deck. Sure, that's our problem. The only other answers that we have to Kindred are, playing a Caught in the Cold and having a big enough unit that can take it down in combat, or we can have a Sejuani try to take it down in combat. And that is the extent of what our deck is capable of doing against Kindred. Like, it is. I don't know. Like, it is. I've bitched about it before. I bitch about it every time we play against him. Like ultimately, like I get it. He's a champion. You have to put it out there. I get it. He's probably balanced and constructed, but it is just completely abysmal in Expedition and has no business being here. And so I'm hoping at some point that they're just like, okay, marketing team, like we did it. We know that we have to push the champions out there so people buy, skins and shit. We've done it, and now we can get rid of it. And so it's just, I know I get like ultra salty whenever I have to play against Kindred, and I really try to keep like my salt level in these videos low, and I try to keep the positivity high, but it is so incredibly unfun to play against Kindred. And it's just even like in these earlier matches where we're playing against him and is in our opponent's deck and they just have one copy, it's just like so soul draining. Like even if they don't draw it, like it's just like the champion screen loads, you see the Kindred in there and you're just like, okay, like this is going to be fun. Like I can tell that I'm about to have a fun Runeterra expedition experience because I'm playing against Kindred. It's savage. I don't like it whatsoever, but nonetheless, to be over that, this deck it came together reasonably well. Starting out with this Sejuani, we were kind of hoping to get to do the things with Little Avalanche. Didn't show up, and that's fine. And so we were just kind of in the classic kind of Avarosan Outriders Overwhelms deck here. This is something, fairly standard that we've been drafting, since the release of Sejuani. And so, the big thing that we're looking for this, and specifically being in Suit Up Sejuani that has Avarosan Outriders, and then specifically picking up the Ashe that also has this Avarosan Outriders, that this is the unit that we're really wanting to take advantage of. Going out there and just getting 12 stats and 2 overwhelm units for 4 mana. It's just such an incredibly good deal. It's incredibly tough for our opponents to deal with. And so, it really allows us to get together and put together this big overwhelms theme and take advantage of our big stats not just getting blocked every turn. And so I mentioned it before. I know one of the issues you run into is, say, like an elites deck is you have, I don't know, like a handful of 5/5s and a 6/6 and a 7/7, and your opponent's just like blocking with 1/1s. They'll take a 6 hit because they're not too worried about it, and then they're still developing their game plan and coming through for a probable win. This style of deck doesn't have that problem since everything has overwhelm, and so that's one of the big advantages to having these kind of overwhelmed decks. Is that your late game, you're probably getting card advantage because your units are bigger than your opponents, and then you're also having a way to close out the game with that trample damage. And so it's a pretty powerful little ability. This deck I don't think like came together perfect. I'm not really happy about the full number of like Brittle Steels and Troll Chants that we have. We have some of these kind of mid-range cards we don't want, like Bull, Elnick, and Tarkaz and Spirit Walker. But this is pretty close to what we're looking for here. And then kind of the spot on theme that we're trying to pull off is, again, I say it so frequently and so much, but you really just got to be driving your curve down. The big problem that you'll run into with this deck is that it gets to say like turn 6 and your hand is Spirit Walker, Wild Claws, Harsh Wind, Sejuani, and you can just play one card. If you're anywhere like behind on the board, you're either just like hoping for the best that your opponent can't deal with your big unit, when you really just want to be playing like 2 cards. And so to that end, there is, kind of like double advantage out of this, and in the sense that, we're playing these Avarosan Outriders. If we keep our curve really low, even if we say put it the +3/+3 onto Starlit Seer, a 5/6 is a very reasonable unit, and then it still allows us to play spells and allows us to play 2 units in the same turn, and it's just like a additional like compounding value of having these small plays in your deck. And so, that's how I would typically look at these. You want to keep your curve low. Ideally, we would have had, a handful more of like Avarosan Trappers and some of these just kind of smaller units in general. It's very strong to give one of those Enraged Yetis a boost with Avarosan Outriders. But in general, as long as you're keeping your curve low, you manage to get like 5 or 6 expensive cards that have Overwhelm, 1 Battle Fury, and a couple of Harsh Winds. You're going to be on a pretty strong way, a pretty powerful deck. Good chance to take you to 7. But I feel like we've drafted this frequently. I'm glad to at least go back and revisit Sejuani in this new environment, as opposed to just drafting Jarvan for the 3rd time in a row. So hopefully you all agree with what we chose to do here. I thought this came together pretty well. We're pretty strong against the majority of the field. We just ran into Kindred there at the end, which is a little unfortunate. But nonetheless, that is going to do it for us today. Looks like we have a handful of things to click on here, so let's see what comes out of our rewards, and then we'll call it a day. I have been meaning to go and upgrade some of our emotes with some of this new stuff. I haven't done it yet, but it's been on my mind. We upgraded our board, we updated our card back. We haven't found any. We haven't found any new guardians to replace our cat, and so kind of the last place to go is upgrading those emotes. I'll do it. I'll remember to click on it at some point, right? Oh man, a rare prismatic chest. What are we gonna get here? Okay. I'm on board with leveling up Neverglade Collector. This is one of our favorites. I mean, it is tough for me to pass on this leveled up Battle Fury, but I really like these prismatics that hang out on the board. The thing with the spells is like we're the only one that gets to enjoy them, right? It's all shiny in our hand. We play a burst, our opponent doesn't get to see anything. But with these leveled up Neverglade Collectors, our opponent gets to, enjoy the shiny on the board, even if they haven't gotten to prismatic up their deck. Okay, good deal. So that's going to do it for us today. I hope you all enjoyed the trial. You learned how to frostbite your opponents just a little bit better. You maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.